Today we're actually going to be showcasing shiny Monarch guts. Now, the cool thing with this guy is that he gets a little dog in his shiny, which is pretty cool. Now, I know you don't see the Monarch on him right now. However, once we get into the sandbox, I will be applying the Monarch's burden modifier, which will make him Monarch and things of that nature. So for this unit stats, we're actually going to be going with Z plus damage, godly SBA, and Z plus range, which is pretty good for this unit, I assume. I didn't want to get all godly since I didn't roll on him. I'm actually saving rerolls for Kaguya, but let's just get a little closer look on his shiny model. It's pretty cool, especially with the dog. You know, it looks like an upgraded berserker armor and things like that. But yeah, not much further to say. This unit is said to be meta, so I'm expecting a lot from the showcase. I'm expecting some good damage, just like Gojo, Escanor, and Sukuna. So yeah, let's just go ahead, without further ado, get into this shiny Monarch guts showcase. Alright, I gave myself some yin and I also applied the modifier, so let's go ahead and get started with this showcase. Alright, his range is actually pretty good. I assume this unit is also AoE on his final upgrade just because of how, games usually do them. That is a summon animation and things like that. And yeah. Now, before we actually get started on his damage, which you can probably already see right here, I actually want to go over the passes because these passes are very important as to understanding how good this character actually is. Now, for the first one, which is part of the branded one, is that every 5 kills he'll actually spawn a demon, like an enemy demon that he'll kill to get 40% more damage and also 100 yen, and it's also equal to how much his damage stat actually is. Now, the only person who's benefiting from this is actually Guts himself, the first one that you place, so that actually makes Monarch pretty good on him. And I would also say Deadeye is also a good alternative to Monarch if you have a lot of yen. Now, the Struggler is, while this unit is stunned, if any enemy in range is not bleeding, it will apply bleed, which will tie in with this ability. Also, injury stacks gains 5% damage per injury stack. That will also tie in with this ability. And periodic trigger every 10 seconds if a bleeding enemy is in range. Perform attack 1 or attack 3, which will also tie in with his ability, which I'll explain later. Now that we have Beast of Darkness, on hit versus bleeding enemies, follow up with attack 2, dealing 50% of his damage, and also repulse the enemies, which repulse, what that technically does is just push them back, as you may already know if you already played the game. And notes, this follow-up cannot generate injury stacks and local 2-second cooldown. Alright, so now let's start doing in with this damage. Now I'll be saying like with buff and without buff because the buff he's getting is from the stack. From the demons, my bad. So whenever he kills the demon, he's actually going to be doing that damage up. Okay, so let's see the max damage for his first move. It will be, let me wait for the passive to go. 37k every 3.2 seconds with the whopping 12k DPS at upgrade 3, this is still his first move, and with the buff he will be doing 53k. Now for the second move, which is actually called Arm Cannon. Oh wait, I accidentally went too far, my bad. Which is actually called Arm Cannon. It's going to be giving you 135k every 4 seconds, which is 34k DPS. And now with the buff, you'll be getting 190k every 4 seconds with a whopping 48,000 DPS, which is actually pretty good. Arm Cannon in itself is actually a pretty cool move. As you can see the effects, let's go ahead and get a closer look. Yeah, this unit is definitely crazy. Him himself spawning these demons are actually, they could be good and bad at times. Per se, if you're losing, it would be pretty bad. And if you're winning, you don't hope you getting those buffs and keep them around going. Now for his third move, we actually have one called Slab Slam. Now, personally, I don't think this is as good as Arm Cannon. However, it is multi-hit, which you can't complain on that. And it does have a pretty good lineup with AoE. Now, let's wait for this to pass so we can see how much he's doing without the buff. 290k every 5.5 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. It was around 50k DPS, I want to say. and that's actually pretty good for this unit. And with the buff, he's doing 406k every 5.5 seconds, giving him 73,000 DPS. Now let's go ahead and cross over to the last move, which is his AoE move and what makes him actually good. Now, remember how I said these tie in with the ability? We'll actually get into that like within a moment or so. Now, for his last move, he's actually going to be doing 80k DPS with the buff and 57k DPS without the buff, which can be translated to 400. I forgot what K, but I think it's 406k to 569k every 7.1 seconds. And now that we've completed all his damage, the damage summary, let's go ahead and get into his ability. Now, in hindsight, what this ability basically does is make him immune to everything, while also giving him injury stacks every time he attacks. Now, right here it says gains 5% damage per injury stack, so you'll actually see them appear, and you can also see the buff right here. So that is really the main component of this unit, which makes him really strong. Also, the fact that he like has a lot of follow-up moves and things like that. And remember that if an enemy is not bleeding, it applies bleed. It only happens when they're stunned, and when he's stunned, I mean, and that will happen at the end of the ability, in which he'll be stunned for 1 minute or 58 seconds from what I've seen. Periodic trigger every 10 seconds if a bleeding enemy is in range. Perform attack 1 or attack 3. Now this ties in with the whole move in general, since you know it will be applying bleed, so there will be follow-up attacks, and yeah. That basically sums up this unit. This unit is really good. You know, he can go up to 900k DPS, and with buffs, I'm sure he could cross over to 1 mil. And with his bleed damage in general, he's just a really strong unit along with the follow-ups. Now, would I recommend getting this unit? I would most definitely recommend getting this unit. I personally feel like all you have to do is just get Skull Knight, Griffith, and you know, do the little quest line for him, and then actually get him. As you can see, is actually him being stunned and applying bleed and stuff to all those units that's coming inside of his range, and also using his follow-up moves. Now, now that the showcase is over, my bad. I'm just thinking about some stuff. Now that the showcase is over, I hope you enjoyed this video and you are having an amazing day. God bless, and that will conclude the showcase. And yeah, also make sure you join the Discord and stuff in my bio. Thank you very much for watching this video, and as I said before, this will be concluding the showcase.